people are saying to themselves, were we better off 4 years ago or are we better off now? And it wasn't even close.
That any economic pain you are feeling is because something that Democrats did or did not do.
Mm-hmm.
We also need to build more housing in America.
And Harris, for her part, has been a little bit more specific.
So we will cut the red tape and work with the private sector to build 3 million new homes.
She has gone out there and given speeches a couple of times talking about how much more housing needs to be built.
Provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 down payment assistance.
About tax credits and more specific ideas of how she can try to help change the situation.
And how are voters generally responding to these two competing messages?
So, of course, there are people who voted for Trump and will stick with him again. There are people who voted for Biden and are sticking with Harris. But there's a small group of people who are not really tuning into this until right now, who are undecided, and they are the people who will matter the most on Election Day.
Right, the coveted, persuadable voter.
Absolutely, the persuadable voter. And in Las Vegas, that typically means a non-college educated voter, most likely Black or Latino, and most likely living paycheck to paycheck. And after talking to dozens of these voters in the last several weeks, I think about them as in 3 different buckets.
And what are those buckets?
The first group of those voters are people who describe themselves as progressives, who have been longtime committed Democrats, but now feel like the party has abandoned them and are considering voting for some kind of third-party candidate by writing somebody in.
These are voters who it seems are ready to cast a protest vote against the entire system, Democratic and Republican. What is the second group?
The second group is what you might think of as Trump turners. These are mostly people who voted for Obama in the past, but felt like his promises of hope and change and the Democratic promise of hope and change has basically been empty for them. And maybe we should just go back to what we had under the Trump administration.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
That's okay, but I don't speak too much English.
It's fine. If you want to answer me in Spanish, that's fine too.
For example, we met a woman named Kenya who was selling herbal supplements.
En 2020 para Biden? Sí. Para Biden. Sí.
And she voted for Joe Biden in 2020. But she's seen her family struggle financially. She says a lot of her family members have been looking for a home for a while and just can't afford to buy one. And she thinks, look, maybe Trump is the better businessman who can make her bottom line feel better. Then we went to a baseball field where I had been just a month before, and at that time had spoken to a lot of voters who were undecided. But this time, I was surprised by how many people there were very enthusiastically voting for Trump.
I'm a Trump supporter.
What do you all like about him? What do you see?
He's a businessman. You have to run our country like a business.
So who are you voting for in the fall?
Probably Trump.
I'm voting for Trump.
Everybody hates me when I say this, but I would personally vote for Trump.
Yeah.
Can I ask you who you're voting for?
Trump.
You're voting for Trump?
Yes.
Okay.
I prefer Trump over what we have.
Okay.
Basically, they want change. And in Trump's message of a broken system that he says he will repair, sounds like they're finding that change.
Right, exactly.
And Jenny, what's the third group of these persuadable voters?
So the third group of voters are kind of the most interesting to me.
Rhea, can I ask you a little bit about politics? Will you vote in November?
I won't this time.
I didn't plan on voting. Really, to be honest with you.
I don't think I will vote.
You don't think you will vote?
No.
And those are people who have voted in the past or who at least think about voting.
I'm tired of it all. You know, I'm just burnt out.
But say this time they are just not going to vote at all.
I am Democrat. The same garbage, different package. Democrats and Republicans, they don't do nothing no more for us.
We met those people at a swap meet. We met them at grocery stores. And I've met them again and again over months going to Nevada.
I just promise things I will say. It's not that I expect like to fix the world like in one night or one day, but
these are people who have voted for Democrats in the past, but feel like the system just isn't working and just don't see the point anymore. just don't feel like there's any reason to do what they've done in the past, and sitting out is their form of protest. They just feel frustrated and want to voice this frustration.
Is it fair to say that you're not voting because you're angry?
No, I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
I mean, Jenny, what you're really describing here in all of these encounters you had with voters in Nevada is a profound cynicism, right? And by and large, what you're finding would seem to generally cut against the Democrats.
Yes, absolutely. There is so much anger over the economy and so much a feeling of broken promises. People feel very, very frustrated and very, very hopeless. And it hurts people's day-to-day lives.
Mm-hmm.
What they thought Vegas was supposed to mean for them, what Vegas meant to their families, what Vegas meant for the possibilities, all seems to have evaporated. And they lay that, fairly or not, at the feet of Democrats.
There's a case to be made that rather than this being a Biden-Harris Democratic Party problem just based on the fact that they are the incumbent administration, that this cynicism is something that Democrats are struggling with and have been struggling with for a really long time, because the Democratic Party does see itself as the party of institutional solutions, you know, going all the way back to the New Deal, up through Obamacare. If you are a cynical voter inclined to distrust the government as the vehicle for solving your problem, then the Democratic brand is one you're very likely to be wary of. It's a whole lot easier to run against the system. And who has better mounted a campaign against the system than Donald Trump?
Right. And I think it's important to remember that many of these voters once believed in that system. They really believed that government, in fact, they might still believe that government was supposed to have a positive impact in their lives. But they don't feel like it has. That's the promise that they feel is broken. You say that government is supposed to work for me, and I don't actually see that coming true. You say that government is supposed to improve my life and my children's life. And in fact, I feel like my children are going to be worse off than I am. Mm-hmm. That sort of overwhelming feeling of giving up, of thinking I keep trying and it's not getting better. So what do I have to lose by just blowing up the system?
Mm-hmm.
And in Nevada, working class voters, voters without a college degree, and Latino voters are some of the fastest growing segments of voters overall. And if those voters have become so cynical that they decide to blow up the system, it could mean that Trump wins the state. And that's completely emblematic of what we see going on nationally, of Latino voters voicing frustration over the Democratic Party, of working class voters voicing frustration over the Democratic Party, of this feeling that the American dream might be out of reach for people that once really had a possibility. And if that cynicism becomes a defining feature of this year's election, it will be a big part of what could hand the White House to Donald Trump.
Well, Jenny, thank you very much.
Thank you.
On Sunday night, a new analysis from The Washington Post showed that higher home prices have disproportionately affected Americans in the 7 swing states most likely to determine the outcome of the election.
The Daily is supported by BetterHelp, committed to helping clients with issues ranging from relationship challenges and goal setting to grief and depression. Learn more at betterhelp.com/public. And by Baird, employee-owned and independent. Baird offers global financial advice focused solely on clients' needs, while consistently reinvesting in the expertise and capabilities to serve those needs. More information at BairdDifference.com.
The Daily is powered by
A
the
church
journalists.
pastor and activist in Allentown, Pennsylvania, tries to encourage people in his community to vote despite their cynicism about government.
They don't understand what's at risk. All they understand is that when they go to the grocery store, they keep getting less in the bag than more.
Just one of the many voices brought to us by our team in the swing state of Pennsylvania. Hear more on the next Morning Edition from NPR News.
You can hear Morning Edition weekday mornings from 5 to 9 on Radio IQ.
Radio IQ is broadcasting in digital on WVTF Roanoke, WRIQ Charles City Richmond, WURV Richmond, WVTU Charlottesville, WVTW Charlottesville, WVTR Marion, WISC FM Wise, WQIQ Spotsylvania, WIQR Lexington, WEHC Emory, and in Richmond on 92.5 and Fredericksburg on 94.9. Radio IQ, a service of Virginia Tech.
With Election Day quickly approaching, many voters are still wondering what a Kamala Harris presidency would look like, including her foreign policy.
For Vice President Harris, she needs to construct that reputation for leadership.
The 7 p.m. session of Roanoke City Council is hereby called to order, and I'll ask our clerk, Ms. Susie McCoy, to please call the roll.
Ms. White Boyd. Here. Mr. Vollison. Here. Ms. Moon Reynolds. Ms. Sanchez Jones. Here. Mr. Fitzpatrick is not here. Vice Mayor Cobb.
Here.
And Mayor Lee.
Here, and a quorum is present. The invocation tonight will be delivered by the Reverend Amy Hodge, pastor of the Mount Zion AME Church here in Roanoke. And following Pastor Hodge, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for Pastor Hodge.
Jesus taught us to pray like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive others who have sinned against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. God Almighty, we thank you for our leaders of the city of Roanoke. We thank you for our Mayor, Sherman Lee, and all of our council members. We thank you for all the hard work they've done and for their efforts to make our city a better place to live, work, and play. Heavenly Father, as the leaders of our city gather tonight, help them to make decisions that are fair and equitable to all citizens. May their hearts be filled with wisdom and understanding, guided by your divine light. Grant them discernment to see the needs of all our citizens, both great and small. May their discussions be conducted with respect and civility and a spirit of cooperation. Help them to find common ground and work together for the betterment of our community. Bless their decisions with your favor, that they may lead to a Roanoke that is safe, prosperous, and a place where all may thrive. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody for our second session of the day, and we'll welcome you back. And our first item on the agenda that we need to take care of is the certification of the closed meeting, and I've asked our Vice Mayor to offer the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I move with respect to any closed meeting just concluded that each member of City Council in attendance certify to the best of his or her knowledge that one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in any motion by which any closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered by the members of council in attendance.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Ms. White Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee?
Aye. And the quorum is present. Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Pastor Hodge, for a fervent prayer. And the first order of business tonight is a public hearing. The request, let me say 15.1, is a request from Mario Williams to vacate an approximately 50-foot wide portion of Carl Road Southwest that extends southwest from the intersection with Beechwood Avenue Southwest, adjacent to official tax map number 129034. Let me say that 1290304. Mario Williams is the applicant spokesperson. All right, there is an ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you please read the title paragraph?
Yes, sir. An ordinance permanently vacating, discontinuing, and closing an approximately 50-foot wide portion of Carl Road Southwest that extends southwest from the intersection between Beechwood Drive Southwest, adjacent to official tax map number 1290304, approximately 130 feet to the northeast boundary with official tax map number 1290130, and containing approximately 7,700 square feet, as more particularly described hereinafter, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. Please note that the City Planning Commission recommends approval of this issue. And Mr. Williams, is he here?
I do not see Mr. Williams here tonight.
I don't want to recognize him for any comments. So with him not being here, we'll go ahead and open the public meeting, public hearing. Are there any citizens, Madam Clerk, that have signed up to speak on this issue?
No, sir.
Okay, well, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask my colleagues if they have any comments on this matter.
I don't, but I'm curious if Ms. Gray, since you are up here, have any thing you'd like to share about this matter?
This is an undeveloped portion of right-of-way that, once 220 was developed, was never going to be developed. It adjoins his property. He's maintained a retaining wall on this property for a number of years, and he would like to do it. It costs less to maintain it if it's not in city right-of-way. So he would like to own the property to be able to continue to maintain it.
Thank you.
All right. Any further comments from members of council? All right, hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Ms. White Boyd? Aye. Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee?
Aye. And, so ordinance passes. Thank you. All right, our next item is a request of Ram Carter LLC to rezone a property located at 716 Marshall Avenue Southwest. The official tax map number is 11-20201 from RM1 Residential District to MXPUD, which is the Mixed Use Plan Unit Development District. Matt Prescott is the applicant's spokesperson. There is an ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk, can you please read the title paragraph?
Yes, sir. An ordinance to rezone the property located at 716 Marshall Avenue Southwest, bearing official tax map number 1120201 from RM1 Residential District to MXPUD Mixed Use Plan Unit Development District, subject to the development plan and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. The Planning Commission recommends approval of this matter. And at this time, I want to recognize Mr. Prescott for any comments that he'd like to make or have.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. I'm really just here to answer any questions about the issue and be happy to comment on any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. So with that being said, I'm going to open the public hearing. And Madam Clerk, are any citizens signed to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
All right, there are no citizens signed up to speak, Mr. Prescott, so I'm going to close the public hearing and ask my colleagues if they have any comments or questions. Vice Mayor?
Well, I'll just say that anytime a coffee shop opens that I can walk to, I'm excited about it. It's been nice to see what has been a long time dormant corner, especially that had to be demolished and then rebuilt, come back to life. And I think anytime we can incorporate a business like a cafe or a restaurant or a coffee shop in a neighborhood, it's a plus for that neighborhood. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, we can go ahead and call the roll.
Yes, sir. Ms. White Boyd? Aye. Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
Mayor Lee?
Aye. And the ordinance passes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prescott. All right, the next request is for sale of a city-owned vacant lot located at 801 Franklin Road Southwest. The official tax map number is 1020716. Mr. Mark Nelson, the Director of Economic Development, is the spokesperson. There's an ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager or her designee to execute the necessary documents providing for the sale and conveyance of 801 Franklin Road Southwest, Roanoke, Virginia, official tax map number 1020716 to Crandall Providence Building LLC upon certain terms and conditions, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. I'm pleased to recognize Mr. Nelson for any comments that he may have.
I have no comments at this time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. With that, I will open the public hearing. And Madam Clerk, do we have any citizens wishing to be heard?
No, sir.
All right. We'll close the public hearing and ask my colleagues if they have any comments or they'd have to have. All right, I'll start with you. What's the proposal?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this item to the next meeting. I have a couple of questions about the use of this corner lot that we have, and I wanted to get some clarity before making this decision.
I would second his motion, Mayor.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right. Madam Clerk, there's a motion to table. Can you
I think we've got some folks here that can maybe
Mayor, I'm
speak.
here to represent Crandall Providence Building. If I can answer those questions, then I'd be happy to do so.
All right, well, let's see, do we have to, if he's somebody that can answer so many questions, then are you satisfied? All right. Well, we need to deal with that motion, don't we, Mr. Spencer, or do we just go ahead and?
It's on the table.
It's on the table. It can be withdrawn if he's satisfied with the questions being answered.
All right.
That's
Yes, sir, go ahead, thank you.
My name is Richard Huff. I'm the firm administrator for Crandall & Cott Law Firm. I'm here representing Mr. Crandall, who is the sole owner of Crandall Providence Building LLC, which owns the real estate, building, and land that the law firm sits on and the adjacent property to this vacant spot. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
The main question I have is what is the proposed use for this lot?
That's a fair question to ask. We don't have specific plans at this point. I think our concern was more that we've got what I think is a beautiful edifice at 366 Elm Avenue. We'd like to add to that. We've recently paved the adjoining parking lot to this parcel. We've mowed it for over 10 years so that it didn't become a liability to the city, and the entranceway into Southwest there has always looked nice because we took pride in taking care of it. We would continue to do so. It's a very small, it's a tenth of an acre. Whether it ends up being some, what the zoning would allow for some additional parking under your parking regulations. It would also, I think, could use a little landscaping right on the corner there, make it look a little nicer coming into the firehouse and the new Francis of Assisi building constructed there across the street from us. To say that we're going to do X, Y, and Z, we're not in a position right now. But we certainly wanted to play a little bit of defense, to be honest with you, and not have somebody come in and put up something that was going to detract from the entranceway to the city and the pride that we've taken in trying to take care of that corner and the property adjacent to it.
I think you're getting to the point, which is, that is a very prominent corner in our city.
It is.
And so we don't want, in my mind, I wouldn't want to just see it paved over.
No.
So if you guys are willing to make sure that is something that is not an eyesore, that is going to look appropriate for its place, then I can be all right with that.
So you want to withdraw your motion to table?
Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, you,
No.
I wanted to ask, are you willing to withdraw your motion to table?
Some questions and some discussion that.
Yeah.
Did you ask?
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. Thank you. The other question I had was, Is there anything, somebody had said that that was a gas station beforehand. Is there an underground tank that's still there or anything like that that's there?
Another great question.
From developing it.
Yeah.
Another great question to ask. We've asked for a 60-day right of inspection as part of the contract that's included in your packet. I've already spoken to Trevor Green at Green Environmental, who has told me he can get the Phase 1 environmental done on that property. If he finds anything, we would move to a Phase 2. We understood as well that there was a gas station, convenience store on that corner at one time before VDOT widened Franklin Road. So we've got a Phase 1 waiting for me to give Trevor the okay to move forward.
So if the lot does have a gas tank on it, is that something that would have to be remediated?
I think it'd be something we take a step back and have a discussion with the city about how to move forward on. So you're asking the right question. Obviously, if it's, it depends on the extent to which there's any contamination. We're not anticipating any, but if the report comes back and says there is, then we'll deal with that in whatever manner seems appropriate to both us and the city. We want to partner with the city in all of this. We've taken care of it. We've wanted it to be nice. If you know anything about Mr. Crandall, he's a perfectionist when it comes to how things look. So I think you'll be pleased.
Well, it seems to me that there's some questions that need to be answered, so we'll go ahead and vote on the Stiffy table.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Madam Clerk, can you call them over on where we table this item?
Yes, okay.
Can I ask one question before we vote on it, just for clarity? So it sounds like there are steps for due diligence here. If we vote to table it and get these questions answered and they're brought back to our next meeting satisfactorily, then it's just essentially a 2-week delay, right?
That, pretty much, and hopefully that's enough time.
Is that enough time for
the
them
questions?
to do
Because I would like, and that's the reason I agreed with Peter that I would second his motion, because those questions I thought were important to me as well. And I don't know if it's sufficient time to get them to come back in 2 weeks, maybe the next meeting. I don't know that it would be a rush for this. Is there any, essentially, you're just asking to maintain the property or keep it as is so that nothing else comes there. So putting it off for 2 weeks, 3 weeks is not an issue, correct?
We're not in a rush.
Okay.
I can't promise you that I can get Green Environmental to do a Phase 1 in 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what his schedule is, but I would move expeditiously on it if that's the request. I know how this works a little bit. I mean, I'd like some indication that if we spend the money to do the Phase 1, that the city's comfort level has been addressed, and we won't run into some other issue down the road. If there's any other issues, I'd just as soon know about them tonight, if that's a fair question.
Yeah, I agree, in your comfort level. You may not want to proceed if you find something that you're not satisfied with. So I think that that's a mutual understanding.
And I guess that's my question, is if you find that there's stuff there that you all aren't comfortable mitigating, is it better to do that before a purchase sale is made, the transfer is made, and maybe I just need help understanding the timeline in this sale process?
Help with some of that. When you have a study period, that is before any transfer occurs. So that does give him that time.
Yeah, if we table this, I just don't want to delay their opportunity to get the answers to the questions, because I appreciate you taking care of this property, even though it wasn't necessarily your responsibility to do so. And it also seems to me that you're interested in making sure it's a really lovely entry point to the city.
And that's why we asked for that 60-day due diligence. If council says, yes, proceed, we get into the due diligence, we find everything's great, then we close. If we find everything's not great, then it requires us to notify the city. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the contract says we notify the city, and we have a discussion at that point about what the next step is.
And Mr. Mayor, I might add, I think it, in all due respect to Mr. Ballason's question, I think it is, I'd like to know what the intention is for the property. I know we had a discussion, but basically it was a parking lot, but I don't think they're able to just commit right now that is essentially going to be a parking lot. So I think those are fair questions.
All right, if you're in agreement, we got it on the table. We'll just call a roll to see if we table this, Madam Clerk. If it's enough support, 5 of us here.
Okay. I'll call the roll.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. White Boyd? Aye. Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? Aye. Vice Mayor Cobb?
No.
And Mayor Lee?
Aye. So it will be tabled until further notice, I guess. Then we'll table this item.
And to be
If we
clear,
do that, Mayor, we're going to have to pull it off the table unless we're going to continue to the next public hearing. But that would require advertising. But if you just table it, we can work with Mr. Huff and then maybe get some solutions before we pay to re-advertise, or actually he pays to re-advertise since he's purchasing.
So you're suggesting we go ahead and table it?
I just want the council to understand that the motion that was approved was to table it generally, not to a specific date, and that to bring it back, we will have to bring it off the table.
All right, are we ready to, anybody have any thoughts on what date you want to do this?
If you wanted to do a specific date, we could do that as well, which in many ways makes it easy.
Well, let's go with the next council meeting.
Yeah.
See if we can get it
Or
done.
the next second meeting.
The next second meeting.
So the next public hearing.
Next
Right.
public hearing.
Okay, and that's the second meeting in November.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
And there is a law, and the Attorney General has said that because we've opened the public hearing and held it, we can't continue to then, but I'll work with Mr. Huff. I don't know if y'all, or I knew Mr. Huff from Pittsylvania County, how many years ago?
24.
24
It's been a day,
years ago.
sir.
Back before my hair was gray.
oh, you're from Pennsylvania County?
I was
He
the county,
was.
I was county administrator in Pennsylvania
Oh,
County, and
yeah,
I was
okay.
also county administrator in Franklin County for 20-some years.
All right, well, I'm from Danville, so I'm familiar with,
Good people.
yeah, Pennsylvania County. And, anyway, I'll tell you what, thank Mr. Crandall for his, willingness to let everybody and their brother put a sign in front of his building. I mean,
Hop tent today.
it used to be where, you know, I'd work with him and nobody went to see him, and I put a sign up there and I'd go back the next day and everybody had a sign up in there. But he's been very, very, I think, cordial in working with citizens who are running, regardless of party. He's got a sign up there. So
There's a
It's
little bit of
actually city
everybody
property
there.
though, Mayor. So it's city property.
the city property?
Yeah. Yeah, we getting ready to sell it, remember?
No, well, when I was there, they told me it was his property.
No,
I had to
that's
go-
city
Some of
property.
it is.
Some of it is, but where their signs are, it's the
Well-
city's property that we're actually discussing.
Well, all I know is when I went there, they said you had to go through Ms. Crandall to get an okay on the sign. Now, whoever property it was, I followed what they said.
Now
to
you
me.
know.
And you remember us giving you permission, I hope.
Right, I do. The other people just came in after we opened that door
And didn't ask.
and didn't ask. So I asked. So thank you. Thank you, sir. We'll
Yes,
get back with you. All right? Okay, Madam
Thank you.
Clerk.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do we need to take another vote?
No, we did.
No,
We're good.
Yeah,
it's tabled to second meeting.
second
in
meeting in November.
I didn't know all that stuff was going on. It's tanks and all that stuff on there. All right, Madam Clerk, we're now down to the hearing of citizens upon public matters. Is that accurate?
That's right.
Okay.
We
Are
have
there
no citizens.
No citizens signed?
No.
They must be trying to get
Darn.
us out here.
She's too happy about
I
that.
know, I caught myself. I'm still on. Darn.
All right, we have, and I knew this was gonna happen to me, to Mr. deputy city manager, but if I would ask now is the time to have the session, the council report.
Yes, sir. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, we'd like for Ms. Helen Ferguson to come forward with a few follow-up items from the last meeting that she would just like to update you on.
Good evening, Mayor Lee, Vice Mayor Cobb, and members of City Council, Mr. Roman. I'm going to try to not be before you guys long. So I'm filling in for Ms. Hedrick tonight. Virginia American Revolution 250 Commission was established by the General Assembly to mark the nation's and Virginia's 250th birthday. Delegate Terry Austin, Chair of the Commission, and Ms. Cheryl Wilson, Executive Director, presented an overview of the history and vision of the Commission. They asked the council, with the council's blessing, to co-host Freedom Fest with Parks and Recreation in July of 2025. Deputy City Manager Angie O'Brien is coordinating with Delegate Austin and the Communications Office to guide the planning for these efforts. Deputy City Manager Angie O'Brien gave a report to ARPA funding, but was waiting for the final guidance from the Department of the Treasury regarding any restrictions on interest earned. The Treasury has decided to allow unrestricted use of interest earned. The city has earned close to $3 million in interest, and it will remain designated for federal grant matches, capital improvements for the Harrison Museum, youth recreation programs, and unassigned and stabilization reserves. Staff are also developing a technical assistance strategy to assist smaller nonprofits and grassroots organizations in grant applications. Councilwoman Moon Reynolds requested additional information about the properties in which this program would be delivered, and the program is the Department of Criminal Justice System's Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Funding, and the curriculum that would be used. Ms. Coleman, Director of Human Social Services, is working with Family Services of Roanoke Valley to execute the grant and needed to get additional information to you guys. Family Services of Roanoke Valley currently operates mental health services at 3 Roanoke Redevelopment and Housing Authority neighborhoods: Jamestown Place, the Envision Center adjacent to Lansdowne Park, and Morningside Manor. The performance sites include Family Services of Roanoke Valley, the Envision Center, Jamestown Place Apartments, and Morningside Manor Apartments. The Connection Project, known as TCP, is an evidence-based positive youth development curriculum. TCP is a proven program tailored for high school students, offering a transformative journey toward personal growth and social connectivity. At its core, TCP cultivates authentic relationships among participants, both with peers and supportive adults. Through structured activities and discussions, teens acquire invaluable relationship skills applicable in various life contexts, nurturing a profound sense of belonging and camaraderie. This emphasis on connections resonates deeply with participants who consistently highlight it as the cornerstone of their TCP experience, fostering a supportive environment where they can flourish. As participants engage with the program's 12 lessons, led by caring facilitators, they embark on a journey of self-discovery and skill development, ultimately emerging with heightened resilience and a more positive outlook toward their future. This emphasis on holistic well-being underscores TCP's commitment to nurturing the whole individual, fostering a generation of empowered and thriving young adults prepared to make meaningful contributions to their communities. Lastly, the bicycle public education. Mr. Ross Campbell, Public Works Director, gave a report to Council on the city's cycle tracks and available bicycle training programs. The issue was raised again that residents often park vehicles or leave trash carts, brush, and debris in bicycle lanes, creating an unsafe situation for both cyclists and drivers. Ms. Corbin is working with RVTV, General Services, Transportation, Stormwater, and Solid Waste to create a series of short public education videos. These videos will explain the difference between road shoulders, bike lanes, and mobility tracks. They will also highlight the importance of a proper placement of garbage, leaves, and brush for everyone's safety. Along with the videos, a communications plan will be rolled out to ensure as many people as possible view the videos. And that ends Ms. Hedrick's report.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I have I assumed that Ms. Moon Reynolds was coming back, but there was an issue that we dealt with regarding the boxing program in terms of that, and right now, the boxing program is at a standstill. I think the question is dealing with the rent or paying some money there, and my understanding of it was that Dr. Patton was going to work that out. But what's happening, I'm concerned, is with their missing days there, and we've got the Star City people and also with some merchants guys that go over there to box, the young guys. And I think it's a good program, but it's falling into some financial difficulties. Hopefully, Dr. Patton and we can work that out, that we can come back and put that back on track soon if we're able to do that. But I know Ms. Moon spent a lot of time with the young man, that's him and his wife that run that program. So any thoughts or any answers that we can give to them and police folk, at least Lord Merchant, about what we're doing with that, I'd be glad. I think they have a partnership with the Recreation Department for that building over on, over in, I think it's Roanoke Avenue or Roanoke.
Yes, sir.
Avenue.
Yes, sir.
So is it, but do y'all have any answers to that? I just want
Yes,
that-
Miss Deputy City Manager O'Brien is familiar with that situation, and she'd be more than happy to come forward at this time to share with you the most recent update.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. So I can give you a little bit of an update on the boxing programs. We actually have 2 boxing programs that are working with youth in the city. Just recently, Deputy City Manager Roman and myself got together with Economic Development, our legal team, and Parks and Recreation, and we're looking at a way that we can utilize the boxing program through Boxing and Brawling or BoxFit, and other boxing programs in the city, to maybe even looking at adopting a city boxing effort. So we've got a lot of ideas that we're floating around, and hopefully we're going to come to a consensus soon and to be able to move forward. But right now, that's really all I can tell you, but I want you to rest assured that it is something that we're continuing to have conversation about it. We're just trying to make sure that we're being collaborative and fair and equitable as we continue to move that program forward. In addition, we're also, of course, doing some renovations over at Norwich that will hopefully enhance the partnerships between all of those efforts, particularly boxing.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, thank you. That's what I want to know, just where we were on. Thank you. Thank you there, Mr. Roman. And, all right, that seems to be it. Anybody else have anything they want to bring forth before we close out? It's a quick answer. All right, there being no further business to come before the council, this council meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.